welcome to Career Counseling and Development. I'm Brandon Martin with
Thomas Smith.
Hey, thanks for joining us. So today we're going to focus on this case study, which we're going to call the pre-flight check-in. What's the state of your landing gear? Justino is a 37-year-old pilot from Puerto Rico. He's been a pilot for a while, and he's been a commercial pilot where he's achieved success and prestige and financial gain. But now he's in this transition period where there's been some layoffs, and he's now been a part of those layoffs. And Thomas, he's an oldest son of four. He comes from a family that's been very successful. His mom's a real estate agent, his dad's an engineer, and there's this constant pressure, it seems like, that his family is putting him under. Thomas and I are going to go over some of the questions that we would want to talk through with Justino through this case study and kind of develop maybe what it would be like if we were going to be career counseling Justino. Thomas, when we were first talking about this case, that I think both of us saw right off the bat that there was an issue with self-worth and identity. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely, because we find Justino, he is a pilot. What's more prestigious than an airline pilot? And with that comes a level of prestige, clout, and with Justino, his family had a lot of value in that. And sometimes in our pursuit of looking at family values and impressive values, it's very hard to kind of sometimes separate that, especially with the Latino community. According to O'Donnell and Kirkner, the impact of the collaborative family involvement on Latino families and children's educational performance. The Latino families, they really pride themselves on having a firm education, family support, a strong family network. And so with that comes little bit of pressure potentially. And so that often plays a role out in how things are viewed, our views, and we take our views from our homes, a lot of us. So with that, that's going to be a major piece for him. And having this as something that he has always had around him. I mean, look at his family, look at his dad, engineer, as we said, mom, real estate. So success and prestige is all intertwined there. And so, as he mentioned, that being a value, that's a big piece. So we want to make sure that Justino kind of has a different outlook on and kind of looks at value and prestige and seeing how that, is that something that is really something that's important to you? Is prestige important? Do you find that you have to be prestigious in order to be somebody? Is your self-worth, as you said, connected to prestige, right? So I think that's something we need to, kind of look at as a focal point.
Yeah, I think so, for sure. And I think this is probably something that's going to be incorporated in his entire life, right? The last line of this case study states, he is ashamed of losing his job and worried that his family will see him as a failure and that he will bring disgrace to them. I mean, like, right there, when I read that, that was the moment, right? It's just everything right there. His job, his self-worth is so much tied to how his family thinks about him. And he's worried that just because he was laid off, something that he couldn't even control, he's going to bring shame and disgrace to his family. And I think that, that self-worth, that validation piece is something that has to be addressed with him in order for him to just be successful in life. But like you're mentioning, these are things that really play into the cultural and ethnic identity of who he is. And so in this case study, there are a couple of other questions, numbers 2, 3, and 4, that we really felt could be melded together. So those questions were, number 2, what role may Justino's ethnic identity play in his decisions? Number 3, what cultural values may his family have transmitted to Justino? And number 4, what cultural variables would you want to incorporate in career counseling? Thomas, you being from Bermuda, you kind of have a connection to that Latino area, like Puerto Rico. So when you were reading through the case study, what hit you right off the bat?
Oh man, the ethnic identity playing out in your decisions. Even we can start with question 2. because we have that family, push, it's automatically transitions into the things that we do. All our decision making weighs heavily on the responsibilities. Remember, he's the oldest of four.
The oldest, yeah.
So with that, and being a male, that weighs heavy in the culture. I can definitely identify with that. And then even now we go into the cultural values, how they have transmitted into Justina. Guess what? I mean, daddy's successful, mommy's successful, brothers, siblings, everybody. So it's ingrained. It's just part of who he is. So it is and will be a difficult challenge trying to kind of make sense of everything and not take it on as if it's the end of the world and the end all and be all. However, we don't want to minimize or dismiss the cultural value.
As someone that's not from that background, it can be really easy for me not to understand and almost distance myself from that part. And I could easily make it something of dissension. Oh, you've got to break that. Oh, you've got to, and not taking into account what he's feeling, right? That validation piece. I've got to be able to validate him. Latino, and African American communities already, they may already have some mistrust in the medical community because of historical persecutions and oppression. That's according to GroupPresentation 2018. And so not recognizing their cultural identity and incorporating it into the therapeutic relationship, and that itself can lead to mistrust, right? And so that means me as a provider, I've got to be respectful of my clients and of Justino in this case. And Asani et al. 2012 states that clients want to feel validated and that their life experiences and their cultural beliefs are uniquely a part of their story. And so for me, that's something that is of utmost importance for me in this whole journey that Justino and I have, is that what he's saying is valid. Yeah. What he's going through culturally is valid. His feeling of bringing shame and disgrace to his family, even though I might feel that this is, I don't want to say silly, but maybe not like you shouldn't feel this way. He feels that way, and thus his feelings are valid. And I've got to make that clear to him.
Yeah, and see, again, we're talking about not just how this plays out in his career, but in life in general.
Absolutely.
We will have setbacks. We will have challenges in life in general. And I think these are some things that can easily be transitioned into his focal points of other areas of life, right? He can also use these tools and take the perspective switch, right? From thinking that, hey, with all this pressure, man, am I ever gonna make it? No, hey, you're gonna make it, because guess what? Things happen, right? Things happen, and you, sir, you have the resilience to make it happen.
Like we see it with him that Justino it seems like he's really good at taking off. He's really good about navigating while he's in the air. But why we called it that, what's the status of your landing gear? Because it seems like when it's time to land, or when you're forced to land in this case, there's a little bit of I don't know how to control the plane now that we're on the ground. It's like we've got to help Justino find his own place, also respecting the culture and helping him find boundaries and create his own voice within all of it, right?
Absolutely. And this kind of goes right with, the things that we want to highlight as far as interventions. These are some things that we need to focus on. Like, okay, so how about just, because your family is so important and we see you're close, hey, let be the first thing. What about having honest conversation with those you love? Like, let that be a first point of intervention for you. Think about how you are able to communicate how you feel about what's going on, right? And if the love is there, which I really believe it is, based on the support that you have, because it's there, right? The love that your parents have for you, they've always been there. That's part of your culture. Hey, let's have these conversations now. Let's let them see you and how you're viewing things, and maybe just from that alone can bring about a little bit of relief.
I like the fact that you're touching on talking to your parents, because that also can help him maybe understand what is the pressure that his parents put on him to succeed versus the pressure that he's put on himself. And if he can maybe see that this pressure that he thought his parents were putting on him isn't, it kind of negates that a little bit, and realize that this is my own pressure, it can take some weight off the shoulders just like that. And then the last question was, what cultural strengths could you emphasize in working with Justino? I mean, one for me is this fact that he has a desire and drive to succeed. And so I want him to understand that that is a positive strength, and that no matter what he does, no matter if he goes back to being, you know, a small airline pilot or whatever the case is, his drive to be successful is going to continue to motivate him, to drive him. But now it's time, maybe we need to really define in a better way, what does success look like in his own life?
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that. We want to keep it simple because life is complicated in and of itself, right?
Amen. And
I think we can help him see those things that he already has and build on that from there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we got a good game plan to approaching Justino in his career path. And I want to say, appreciate you, Thomas, and I look forward to working with you again, man.
Absolutely, Brandon. We'll catch up, my friend.
And Justino, you got this, bro.
You got it.